Join us again this Friday, February the 17th at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We will be continuing our conversation on relationship readiness. I am your host, Bonitto Grange, your relationship and life coach, and our guest will be Carol Ross, tuning in from Jamaica. So we're looking forward to a great conversation. Are you ready for a relationship? Are you actually ready to get married? What questions have you been asking yourself or have been asked? Well, we'll talk about it a little bit more. You God bless. Have a wonderful day. See you this Friday, February 17th, 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Have a wonderful, amazing day.
This is Higher Ground Gospel Radio, making the time 5:30. Now time for the program Transforming Your Relationships with Bonitto Grange. Stay tuned.
I want to take you there on HGG.
Over to you, Sir Bunny.
Hello, each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in to Transforming Your Relationship. Another beautiful day. You know, it's all about what you want your day to be, no matter where you are in the world. You could be in Australia, you could be in Africa, England, where I am right now, Alberta. It can be a beautiful day. It's all about our mindset towards the day that makes the day beautiful. So what is your mindset? What has your mindset been today? What will it be tomorrow that can impact the day that you're living in? So tonight it's all about transforming your relationship. We will be having a conversation about relationship readiness. We've had about 2 other conversations on that before going into part 3, and we have 2 guests with us, which is Clive Atkinson, the man that actually owns and have input and also got this radio station going. So we thank God for him. He'll be coming in, and also Stephen and Carol McLeod. I had on the flyer there Carol Ross, but that's okay. So Stephen will be joining us tonight. So looking forward for a good conversation. So before we start, we'll hear from Carol and Stephen. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll hear a little bit from Pastor Clive. Some folks might be tuning in for the first time. So Stephen and Carol, come on in. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Hi.
All right.
Carol Ross McLeod, and this is Stephen McLeod. We have been married for 19 years. 19 years. It has been up and down, but right now we're at a sweet spot. We're at our sweet spot.
Looks like a sweet spot.
Yes, a sweet spot where I think we understand each other a lot better, and a lot of the issues that were there before, a lot of them have been worked through. We still have a couple working through, but we're fine in general. We both own a publishing company called Aftershock Studio and Product Publishing, and we have written a couple books, but a lot of them are academic books, except for Intercourse of Love, which is, well, a book about relationships. The different stages of relationships.
Yeah, send that my way.
Okay, no problem. You know.
Yes, Stephen, hear about you, Stephen. Your wife didn't know whether you're coming on or not, so we're glad to have you too, obviously.
Yes, it was a bit iffy. Work-life balance. So I'm Stephen McLeod, and as she said before, we've been through various experiences that has given us intimate experience with the vicissitudes of relationships, the highs and the lows, and enough to be able to cite and kind of give advice as to certain pitfalls to look out for, and what are some of the things you can do to give yourself an advantage in your relationships.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for tuning in all the way from Jamaica. I'm assuming it's about 25, 30 degrees down there right now. We will get, what's that?
It's a balmy.
It's a balmy.
It's warm.
It's a balmy 0 +5 or somewhere around there up here right now. So that's balmy for us in Canada, okay?
Oh dear.
And here we have Clive Atkinson. So he's the gentleman, the CEO, the runner of this radio station that got this going here about last June, I think it was somewhere around there. So a very good friend of mine, known him for I think well over 30 years. So we're just going to have him just say a little bit about himself. For those that maybe tune in for the first time, you'll know who this amazing elderly man. He's also a pastor of High Ground Tabernacle in Edmonton, flourishing church that he has started there some years back. Go ahead, Pastor Clive. Tell us about you a little bit. I never get tired of hearing, by the way.
Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. Good to be here tonight. Greetings in the name of Jesus. Well, I'm Pastor Clive, and I'm just a nobody just trying to tell somebody about Jesus.
Okay.
Husband of one wife, 6 children, 3 grandchildren.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're very busy.
Yeah, very busy. They're keeping me busy, and they're just coming home. I know they want to barge in here, but yeah, that's just. I was born in Jamaica, and migrate, as Bonnie would say, for a little while now. We know each other for a little bit, and yeah, and the church I pastor is Higher Ground Tabernacle Ministry, and this the radio station, pretty much our outreach ministry to reach the lost at any cost, to reach people wherever they are. As our slogan would say, from the highest mountain to the lowest valley.
Right. Love that. Beautiful. So Clive, Pastor Clive, he's the one that spearheaded this thing, and he's the one that got me into this area here, which I haven't been before. Oh, are you speaking? We can't hear you, Pastor Clive.
Oh, sorry about that. I guess I'm mute. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying that, that's just basically who I am as a person. There's nothing much to me. It's just what you see is what you get.
All right. Watch that smile, folks. He's got a smile there that draws people to him. I don't know what it is about that smile, but everybody talk about it.
Oh, boy.
All right. And folks, about myself, as usual, I've been married for 36 years, going on 37. Wonderful relationship, as Stephen and Carol says, and also Pastor Clive. We have our ups and downs, but those are challenging times that helps us to really communicate better. We're still working on that. Connect better. Yeah, we're still working on that. So we're here on the show, but we're not perfect individuals. We're imperfect individuals, giving credit to a perfect God, but working through our own things as time goes on. So it's so glad to have you folks. Glad to have you folks on. So let's get into our conversation here. We're talking about. I put in submission here first, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk a little bit about submission now. I don't know if it's brought up premarital. I'm assuming. I know when I do it, it's definitely brought up. I've heard somewhere it wasn't brought up. So what's your thought on bringing up that conversation about submission, what submission would look like for either or? And yeah, let's go from there. We can start with our new guests, Carol and Stephen there.
Okay, so the topic submission is kind of interesting that you brought it up, because recently we have been having a number of discussions among certain groups about that, and on online platforms, and it's a term that keeps coming up in terms of relationships. It has become a hot button topic.
Interesting.
Because in times past, it was kind of a given that women were submissive, in the sense that they would defer in terms of leadership, defer in terms of decision making, and in general, men would take reign of the home and every decision based that needs to be made. But now the paradigm kind of shift, because economics, the way how society is now structured,
right,
it is no longer a case where men have total say, because economic situation is a lot of women are now empowered, I would think, to make their voice and their decision be asserted, and even in some cases to dominate. Because the female gender has made a lot of, we call it now, a lot of strides in becoming economically empowered, and thus it has given them more say, and society as a whole has just kind of adapted that, where now everything is based on economics. So if the woman is the one who has the greater economic leverage, then there tends to be a bit of tug and war or compromise or dysfunction in terms of how submission works.
However, it is still important that we recognize that here's what I always tell people: if the designer, if the manufacturer says this is how a product is to be treated, you are to wash it in warm water, you are supposed to put it on the line for X time, whatever, that's it. If you go against that grain, it means therefore that you may find you have a problem with the product, because they would have done all the necessary tests why they would be able to tell you that this is how it is to be done. The Bible says women are supposed to submit to their husbands.
I like that.
It doesn't matter how fancy we get. It doesn't matter how technology has taken
and how much money you make, right?
It doesn't matter how much money you make.
It's a timeless
principle. A timeless principle. That's
well,
it.
I don't.
We have gotten so advanced that we are constantly making new decisions and finding ourselves in new problems. It's a simple rule.
These are paradigms that I would often call them social experiments, right? And over the years, society has come up with all these different rules that say, you no longer need to do this. We're in modern times, but all of these are simply social experiments, which have over the years, and many of them have derailed a lot of things, family life, children, behavior, a lot of things that we think of as being progressive and modern, and they simply don't work out. Right.
But submission don't mean losing yourself.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean you losing yourself as a person.
No,
that's not what submission means. Submission means that you recognize his kingship, you recognize your husband's lordship, and I'm using it not in a way to suggest that you lose all of you and put him as king, but if he's king, you're queen. You understand me?
Absolutely.
King still has authority over his kingdom, including his queen.
And he wants to have that authority over his kingdom.
And he needs not once. He needs to have that authority in order to be the best version of himself. In order for him to be the best husband, the best father, the best man he can be, he has to be given the opportunity to be that person. He has to. And that is where we're losing. So ladies want to be treated as women. We want to be treated feminine. We want to be treated with love, but yet we have all of this masculine energy. We constantly overrule everything that is said. We have no discussion. We have no respect. And we cannot get that love. We want to be treated as princess and queens. In order for you to be given that title, you need to allow yourself to behave that way.
Beautiful. I like that. We have to allow ourselves and willing to submit one to another. No, thanks for sharing. Beautiful. I mean, I have lots of comments that could come in there, but I want to hear from Pastor Clive too. He's done by the way, these folks that you're just hearing from, Stephen and Carol, they're also counsel. They're on Marriage Matters, which is an international organization that they have. They're in Jamaica, so it's worldwide. So we can give you the information on that afterwards. Pastor Clive also is a counselor too, and the same with Stephen and Carol, both counselors. So let's hear from you, Pastor Clive. Submission, because I've heard almost implies if I submit, it's like I'm losing my identity. It's like I'm losing who I am. It's like I don't have a voice like I should have, which is wrong. But at the same time, that's a person's perception, not necessarily right. So let's hear from Pastor Clive here, and we're just going to take a time to have each individual just come in as go ahead, Pastor Clyde.
It's relationship. It is important now when we get in, ourselves into relationship, that we know the person who we're getting married to.
Yeah, amen.
Because when you get into relationship and the person who is insecure of who they are as a man or a woman, they try to be this person who they are not.
Right.
Submission not necessarily mean that you're weaker. You just understand your role as a person in the relationship.
I don't.
But if you give some man, if you know you're going to get married to somebody, and you kind of be around them, I encourage couples to be around the person in different settings so that you will know when they're high and they're low. You see how they deal and interact with people. Some persons have insecurities, so now they get into the relationship with all of that insecurities and now trying to dominate to make you feel lesser than what you are. So now the relationships start to fall apart because you can't be yourself. So submission, yes, ladies need to submit, or that's what the Bible says. But trust me, it's hard to love somebody who is going to be trying to dominate me as a man. You see what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
It's going to be hard for a lady to submit to somebody who wants her to feel less than a woman. You see? So there's a balance. If you know you're going to marry to somebody that you and them can't have cordial conversation, and it's not going to work when you get into the marriage. He's not going to change. She's not going to change.
Right.
And again, submission does not mean that you give up your total right and have no say. My wife, my wife, like she's the gel that holds us together.
Beautiful woman.
That doesn't mean that she doesn't know her lane.
Right.
There are certain things that I realized that she's better at than me. Before I got married to her, I was the one that was always being in charge of my own finances and taking care of my own destiny, and I'm doing it. But I realized that my wife let me save more money than I thought I was doing good.
That's a good woman. That's a good wife right there. They usually good in that department.
Right? So what I have accomplished and what I achieved in the little time that, what I was doing all along, she came and enhanced. But at the same time, she know, Clive, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. She know who's who. She know her role. And a relationship will never becomes what it need to be unless you know your role, your wife know your role, and both of you work together. And all it is that, again, I love Corinthians 11 because I know we take that scripture and we put some stuff in front of it. And I realize that Corinthians 11 is telling you that when you understand who's your covering, and it's the man who is there, and if you know you're not going to submit yourself and allow your husband to be the covering, always says that it wasn't the woman the man that was deceived, was the woman. And he was not belittling any ladies. He was just putting in order in the churches.
Yeah.
Because at the very end, he says, neither the woman without the man or the man without the woman. He, would have taken that scripture and used it and said, well, Paul is saying that we need to wear a broad hat on our head and come to church and speak in tongues and beat your husband.
Right.
That's what he's talking about. He's really talking about submission, meaning that you reverence the man that you're married. And likewise, the man needs to understand that if you don't love your wife, your prayer is blocked.
That's right. The life's got to be lived right so your prayers can be answered. When we talk about, and thanks for sharing that, I'm going to come back. This is supposed to be one set in here tonight, but just by how we started tonight and the conversation, this is going to be a part 3 and a part 4, maybe 5. I haven't even scratched the surface yet, folks. So just bear with me, right?
Let me just say this before you say, Elder Grange.
Go ahead.
I got married to my wife, and I said to her before we got married, I said, listen, I'm going to be in my 40s soon. And I am not doing this 3-4 times. I'm going to love you for who you are. and I want you to love me for who I am. I cannot be Dick. I cannot be Tom. I cannot be Harry. I cannot be, I'm going to be me. When you marry to somebody for who they are, you see their inside, their outside, you see everything about them, that's the person you're going to get married to.
Amen.
So then if you're married to the person and the person is displaying and you see, oh, I had saw it, but I thought it would have changed. No, that person have been like that for as long as they were born, and you love them for who they are. If they are rough around the edges, trust me, they ain't going to get smoothed out for you. They're going to be rough around the edges. For me, I love a feminine woman. I love when my wife is just soft and she.
Well, I would hope so.
I think it's important that we remember the command that the Lord gave. The command. The Lord said, "Husband, love your wife as Christ loved the church." And God knew He had to give that command to the man. He had to tell him, "You must love." Because that's the only way you're going to get his attention for the rest of your life. The only way. The Lord had to command him and say, "You must love." And the Lord know that we have light mouth. So the Lord warned us that we are to submit and that we are to reverence our husband, because the Lord knows that our mouth will get us into trouble. So we have to learn to hold back, to be at peace, to recognize His leadership. He had to tell us to behave. And so those were the commandments given that husbands were supposed to, because the Lord knew wives would automatically love. If we love you, we'll love you. But that don't mean we won't disrespect you. So He had to warn us that we must behave. And then He had to tell the husband that you must make sure that you love. Because when those two things come together, perfect gelling. I love and respect, he love and respect.
You know, love and respect is beautiful. You know, there's I asked my wife this question: is love enough? And I said it is, but hear me out first before you throw me under the bus, right? I use the word love as an acronym. L stands for if I learn to listen to my partner, you know, things will definitely get better. If I allow to offer up myself to her and be there for her, things can get better. If I value her as I'm supposed to value her and love and honest and cherish her, things will stay together. And also E for empathy. If I'm being empathetic, in other words, if I'm emotionally available, why would you want to throw me away? So that's why I say when love is enough. And I know some might not agree, but that's Bonitto's acronym, and you can't mess with that. But anyways, to go on here is when we talk about submission, we're talking about selflessness, we're talking about accountability, we're talking about service and respect for your partner. It's not slavery. It doesn't mean that you lose your identity or your voice. As I've said before, I've heard married women that say after they reach a certain age, it's like they finally recognize now who they are, because they've been trying to please and please and please for so many years. I can see you can validate that, right? They've been trying to do that and then all of a sudden you turn the light switch on and says, so who am I? Where do I belong? Do I even fit in this little box that I've been placing all my life? Because they've been so submissive, but lost your identity, and we can credit the losing of identity actually to the husband of how the wife was treated and how she wasn't valued. But I want to take this just a little bit further about submission. So when we have long distance relationship, so how do we deal with that? I mean, you might only see the individual maybe a couple of times before you get married. You might be on one of the dating apps. So how does one view that? How can one even tell, especially when you don't have that time, like Pastor Clive said, to actually be around the individual, to get to know their ins and their out? How does one get around that area of long distance?
That's a tough one, Rev. That's a tough one.
That's why I brought it up.
I remember counseling a couple. They meet online, and when they meet online and then they're getting serious, and the second lesson, the relationship breakup, because I put out there, asked all these questions that nobody's thinking about, and nobody's going to say, okay, when we get married, so you're planning a wedding and you don't know this person. So when I give them all of the homework to go home and say, do this, this, and this, the third day into the homework, they call and says, well, we call it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there are things
They
that,
don't know each other.
listen, when you don't know somebody, I'm telling you, online some people, it may work because you can have great conversation, but when you come together in person, the chemistry is not there. Then what do you do?
Don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying a long distance relationship cannot work. It's just a conversation about how does one get to know that and how does one really deal with that, right? Carry on.
So that's why it's important. Then you have something like online or long distance. You need to be in that person's space. You need to get to know that person before you accept and say, yes, I will marry you. Yeah. Because see me and live with me is two different things. Right? So it's important for you to know the person. Don't just, and this is for persons who are premarital, you want to be with somebody so bad, and don't use because you want to be with somebody you're desperate. No, because you're going to have more stress and high blood pressure.
All right, okay. Just but how about Stephen and Carol? What's your thought on that? How does one deal with that?
I agree. So after you have done the test, after you've done your relaxed moment where you talk to each other, and then you start going through with premarital questions, hard questions. You have to ask each other hard questions. I really believe that there must be a physical space where you are now in. You have to meet with the person before you seriously decide to get married. I really believe that, because I think Stephen and I were good friends. We're really good friends. Okay. We talked about what I thought was everything. But when we got married, it really wasn't everything. There were so many things that came up that shocked me, that shocked him.
It was more than enough for you, right?
And we talked on the phone for hours. I remember a $21,000 bill years ago. What? We were on the phone one day, $21,000. We were on the phone that month. And even with all of that, and Stephen is one of the calmest human beings I know. And yet, Stephen can derail me in ways that shocked me. I never even knew I could be derailed. I thought I was calm. But this calm young man was able to derail me. You understand me? And I'm saying, every time I always say, then how comes you're so calm? And you can drive me crazy this way. What about those men who are not calm? What about those men who are always crazy and he's not doing anything crazy and he's still able to mess with me like that for years? And I'm saying,
water is calm and erosive.
So I'm saying you still have to get in a physical space at some point.
Absolutely.
You have to get in a physical space where you get to see each other, talk, and just interact with each other on not over the screen, face to face.
Face to face. By the way, folks, the $21,000 she's talking about, that's 21,000 Jamaican. Okay,
but it was a long time ago. That's 18 years ago. $21,000 18 years ago, still a lot of money.
I'm letting the folks know these Carol and Stephen, they're from Jamaica right now. So $21,000 Jamaican. That's 21,000 Jamaican. It's not 21,000 US.
Yeah, but it was still 18 years ago. No, 19 years ago.
So that question came up. As we're having the conversation, it wasn't planned. It just came up because there's a lot of online dating. And nothing's wrong with that. And, individuals oversee that. You might have been introduced to, you really don't know. So, and some is, I like to watch this program, Married at First Sight, because it's quite interesting what goes on there. You've never seen this individual before. They're facing, the only time you're saying I do and meeting this individual is
that's a tough one, B. That's a tough one.
I recommend that you have to.
I'm not advertising it, but it's one of my favorite shows because there seems to be learned, from the program there, right? And how individuals within the 2 months' time, how they really fall in love and get to know the ins and outs and whatever. But definitely, there's got to. So, what about those that you haven't met the individual, and from my perspective, I think you'd want to do. It would be nice if you knew somebody that knew the individual in that area, or even the pastor that can give you honest, not a pastor or an individual that want to get rid of this individual because of their behavior and everything else and pass it on, but somebody that can, honestly and authentically vouch for this individual, so
Still
that,
don't know them on a personal level.
and you still don't know them on a personal level. So
No.
Listen,
Let me
listen.
give you an example. I've
go ahead.
always said, if you are going to marry my son because of the fact that you hear how Stephen and myself talk about sex and all the other stuff, you're going to be in trouble. My
Mhm.
son is my son is opposite to the two of us. You couldn't use the fact that, okay, look at Stephen and Carol, they brought him up, yes, but he is a completely different child from us in terms of some of our personalities. You
Okay.
have to get to know him. You couldn't judge, and you definitely cannot marry my daughter
Mm.
without getting to know that young lady. And I'm saying we make these little mistakes because we think, okay, he's from a good family, he's from a good whatever, but you still have to know the person because the person have their own specific identity. That is that they have their own meticulous personality that you have to get to know, because it may be the difference between a wonderful marriage and a problematic marriage.
Absolutely. So thanks for sharing that. So the readers, those listeners that are out there, just food for thought, right? Those that are doing long distance relationship, definitely it's important. I believe that not that you get to know them verbally just over the phone, but also have that connection when you can see their behavior. Because uh, I've always used a statement: love is blind, because love blinds you from the reality that you need to see, but you can't see because, well, sometimes it might even be love or lust. I don't know, but the individual have to make that.
Both of them are blind.
There's a biological reason for it.
Okay, go ahead. I want to hear it.
Actually, all we need to remember, at the genetic level, our bodies know that we are mortal, and and like a computer, its prime directive is my gene must live on. So whatever chemical compound it needs to concoct for you to feel that deep sense of infatuation and attraction,
Mm.
it's all geared towards making you reproduce, a reproductive machine. Your
Okay.
gene simply is like, okay, people, we need to get this thing going. We're not going to be around forever. So whatever hormones we need to concoct for them to fall in love, ignore and make sure that concoction of hormones bypass that the logic,
Right.
the brain's logic. We don't need the brain's logic interfering with our prime directive. We need to reproduce. As a matter of fact, we're going to go so far as to also ignore the moral codes, all of those things, like monogamy. No, we don't need that. Our prime directive is to multiply. We need to pass on our DNA. And you see, this is what Paul described as the law of the flesh, and that's why it say you must walk in the spirit so that you do not fulfill the law of the flesh, because
Right.
the law of the flesh is like a computer program. Your biological drive is to reproduce, and sometimes at the cost of logic.
And that's why after the baby is born, logic become important. But by that time, you'd have already made those decisions.
Yeah, you're married, you reproduce, and now your genes are like, okay,
you sort out the rest
we no
of it
longer
now.
need to produce those highfalutin concoction of hormones that we were using to get the job done. We got him hitched, we got him we got him children, so now we can just
Let them
chill.
let them sort it out now.
So it's amazing how when before you got married you couldn't get enough of each other, and then now that you're married and you have kids, you're like, so what happened to all that hot steamy desire
I was this the person that was so hot and bothered.
I could not live without, and thus love is what is going to carry you beyond the concoction of hormones that wanted you to reproduce.
Absolutely. Well, you've educated our readers here. Clive, brother Clive, Pastor Clive is coming, and I can hear him there.
I was just, like when I was, dating my wife. I know there's some things. She's very soft-spoken person, but there's a couple of things that my personality. I'm a bubbly person. I'm out there, and my concern is that are you going to want me to just be in your space alone? that was a concern for me because I want to be a social butterfly and of course I'm not loud and be like that, but I like fellowship. I love to be around people. I like to interact and so forth and so on. But that was concern for me. So we talked about those conversations, right? To make sure that I do not lose myself as a person in the relationship. And also I let her know the things that I really, as much as she was a quiet person and stuff, there are things that I really didn't like. And I didn't be afraid to say, sweetheart, I love you, but I don't like this and I don't like this. These are the two things we're going to work on. And I need you to tell me what you don't like so that I can work on me. Now, we had said something earlier, Elder Grange. Insecurities about a man in a relationship that produces that overbearing, over trying to be more vocal. And one of the things that I want to work on with our church, with all of the young men them, is to make sure that they have a good education. Not saying that we don't want the ladies them will have it, because young girls always trying to think, I want to be a doctor, I want to do that. So I asked the young man, what do you want to be? Some of them, I don't know. I said, no, I'm giving you until this month to let me know what you, and every time I see them at church, I need to know what you're going to be, because church has not done men, because young men don't know where they're going. Some of them don't know what they want. So now the ladies are the young girls who are going to college and going to university and becoming the person that they want to be and setting up themselves. They have to come from here to step down to that level. And now the man start to feel insecure because, she making the 6-figure and I'm making, the 5-figure or whatever the figure is, if there's any figure. So it is important as church for us to drive in our young men and of course young people in general to achieve and to become the best of what they can achieve, so that nobody's stepping from nowhere. Push them to be the engineer, push them to be the lawyer and the doctors and so forth and so on, so that they can be a provider. Back to the same scripture, Corinthians 11. That's what it's all about. Understanding your role, your responsibility.
Beautiful. As you mentioned about the young men in the church, when my son was coming out of grade 10, I asked him, so what do you want to be? I don't know, Dad. What do your friends want to be? Well, they don't know either. I said, okay, so this is what you're going to do. So I got him enrolled in what is called a RAP program in their school, apprenticeship program that you know about, and it's amazing, but many parents don't know about that. So he got his he did that for about 2 years. So he came out of high school with about 800 hours of a first year apprenticeship on the job training. To qualify for full first year, you need 1,500 hours, which he did get after he graduated from school. But the thing about it, and so he never really stuck to that, but he spearheaded off into something else, which he's doing right now, which he's doing very well. But at the same time, that experience that he's had, that he has, you can't take it away from them. So sometimes, as parents, because we're setting them up for life, we're setting them up for relationship. Like everything we do, it's all about relation. Life is all about relationships. So if we don't set them up at an early age, as you mentioned, Pastor Clyde, then we got to have some of that onus on ourselves. So as time went on, now I didn't want to push him because with the heavy duty mechanic, which is what he's doing, it can be dangerous if you're not focusing. If you're not focusing exactly, know what you're doing, and have that good mentor that's there with you. So after a while, he gravitated to something else, which was good. But at least it wasn't somebody that was finishing high school and just wandering, just aimlessly. No, ask him like you said, because what we're talking about relationship readiness. That's what we're setting our children. That's what we're setting them up for, is relationship readiness. So I want to the question here that comes.
May I just interject here? A man without a purpose is dangerous. A man that does not know his purpose is a dangerous man.
Is it? Whew.
Yes.
Oh boy.
The
Oh
man
boy.
the man that knows his listen to me. So when a man knows his purpose,
Can't stop him.
husband,
You can't stop
It
him.
makes him
I,
disciplined.
I,
it makes
I
him
love it. I love it.
It sounds like you have one right beside you.
Let me tell you, man. When a man don't know what he's there for, drives you crazy.
Well,
And
the thing,
before you marry, and the person will have to have it together, but the person have an idea of what he wants. He knows
Wow.
exactly what he wants. Say, look here, I want to be X and Y, but I'm not sure how to get you. But that's what I have in my mind. But see, when
right.
he has that purpose, he doesn't spend all that time looking at every skirt tail that passes
My
because
Lord,
he has a focus.
you're reading
Yeah,
my
something
story.
working towards. But when you pick up a man that doesn't know what he wants, you're begging for trouble.
He's gonna be blown by every wind of influence.
But I love him. But I love him. He looks like he just come out of the
Uh-uh.
Garden of Eden. But I love him.
It is. Let me tell you. Eternity is too long to be wrong.
Marriage is
When
too
you
long
go,
to be.
hear me tell you, I am married to the gentlest person I know, one of the
My
brightest
Lord.
men I know, and he drove me crazy for a very
That's
long time. And he's not the
okay.
hitting type, he's not the shouting type, he's not the crazy type, he's calm, collective, and he was able to drive me crazy.
But that's
And
crazy
I'm
love, and
saying,
that's why
and
that's
I'm
great.
merely saying, and I'm not saying it in a bad way, I'm saying if I could have somebody who is relatively solid, drive me crazy. But he's not saying anything.
Listen,
Can you imagine when you
if
take
benign could create so much damage.
But
can you imagine why?
Sister
So I'm
Carol,
just saying to the lady,
craziness drove you to love him in a different way and caused him to
I
love
don't
you.
know. God, I think God placed a love in my heart for him. It was just simple as that. I every day I ask, how we got together. But I think God saw our purpose. He knew the two
Wow.
of us together would be very
Absolutely.
good together. He knew that. Every time I ask me, so how did this happen?
When we met, I was a writer and she was a director.
Okay.
And the way how we interacted at first was she was the head of the speech choir at our church. And I kind of interloped my way into her life by writing stuff, writing plays, writing poems.
Nice.
So we formed a close partnership from then, and it just led into marriage. You know, we saw a lot of things alike. And let me tell you, I can tell the advice I can give you about marriage is this. We're talking earlier about submission.
Right.
Now, yes, the Bible says wives are supposed to submit, but it also carries with it the responsibility of the man. Now there are two responsibilities that you're going to have, two things you're going to need to inculcate in order to make submission easier for your spouse. And those two things are you have to master are competence and communication. Competence is that you need to master something, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you are an engineer, handyman, plumber, electrician,
Right.
writer, lecturer, teacher, whatever it is,
Be good
you
at it.
need to be competent, right?
Beautiful.
And if you have
Wow.
multiple competencies, that
Even
makes it
better.
even better. So if the pipe breaks but you are a lecturer, but you can still fix a pipe, oh my God, you're I mean, more
Sexy.
points. Yeah. The light switch stops working and you're able to fix the light switch.
I never understood that. I never
Shakespeare.
More
understood
points.
that.
More
Because
points.
that's what my wife says she likes about the fact that
You have to be the more of a problem solver you are. I mean, you are just like
You don't have to beg for anything.
Yeah,
Just
your
Wow.
value just
But
goes
my
up.
wife just reminded me about
Yeah.
that the other day because I do a lot of this, a lot of that around the
There
house
you
and
go.
everything else. So I got a lot of points just for that
Oh
because
yes. Oh yes. Oh, yes.
and to those men that are out there, let me say this: I have a lot of friends. I have doctors and lawyers and stuff who are not. They will call me and say, "Clyde, can you send a guy over to fix this and that?" fix it while buy a set of hammer, man. Some screwdrivers, have it in the house. It turn on your wife.
Very sexy.
And when she come home and the light that wasn't working, you make me fix it before she reach there, and then you just come off of the ladder and say,
Yeah.
okay. Don't tell her no lies, you fix it. Just look at it, and if she asks a question and say, isn't the light working? What are you worrying about?
Yeah. The one switch turn. I mean, TV can't fix the light, but the one switch turn on. The way he did it, he made one switch turn on 3 different lights. I still thought you were sexy.
I want to go back to what you said.
You cannot sit there and just not try. You have to at least try, because you're gonna make mistakes, you know. But in making the mistakes, you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
You're going to learn.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
I want to go back to what.
You know, you get more and more competent. And then now the other part, communication. Now this is a biggie. Now when we talk about communication, people
That one's coming
that's
up.
one of those things like, oh God, oh, it's like the what would you call it? It's a cliche about relationship, but I'm telling you, it is the most important cliche that exists. Because let me give you an example. Communication is not just talking, it's listening, right? So for example, I used to just go by, okay, she said this, so that's what I'm going by. And then I don't listen to what she's not saying, you know? And as males, we tend to be very lazy when it comes to mastering communication.
Okay, tell us.
When 2 men are communicating, when I say the pan is over there, can you go get it? That's exactly what I mean. But when you're talking to a woman, you can't use the same direct. You have to be more nuanced. You have to put more purpose into it. You have to think. And this is why marriage is so awesome, because guess what?
Or hard.
It's hard, but guess what? At the end of the hard, it forces you to upgrade, because you're either going to upgrade, who you are, or you're going to fail. Your marriage is not going to work. But marriage is an awesome kind of tedious opportunity for you to become a better human being, because first of all, you have to give up selfishness. You have to learn how to listen and communicate in a nuanced kind of way. You have to be a good marketer. If I get up tomorrow morning with an idea, I have to pitch it to my wife. I can't just get up and tell her, say, oh, you submit to me and this is what I say we're gonna do. No.
Tell me how
the best way for me to get it done, to get my way, is I have to sit down and say, all right, how am I going to pitch it to her in such a way that here is the hard part for her to do, but here's what I'm going to put in to sweeten the pot, right? So when we talk about communication, it's really like you have to be like a marketer to your wife. You have to, when you introduce something, pitch it. Don't just say, this is what we're doing. No. If it's something that you know that she's not going to readily, want to do or whatever, you have to be like a marketer. And marketers have to be very good at communicating what they want.
So, Stephen, thank you for that. Beautiful. The line I use is seek to understand first before you're understood. But I don't want to jump into communication, because that's coming down the road here. We're not even going to get to that. So you're going to have to. We will be coming back for another part for this. But one, I just want to go back to something that Carol said about a man has to know his purpose. When my wife married me, I didn't have a trade, Carol, but I knew exactly what I wanted, and I was pursuing that. I didn't, like Stephen who said, my mind wasn't here, there, and everywhere. I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew where I was going. And so, excuse me. So when a lady knows that about her man, it gives her a sense of security that, okay, I can depend on him. I'm not going to be here in this side of the country today. I'm not going to be down here. I don't have to worry where the next bread or the next meat's coming from. A woman wants to have that security. So that was one of the reasons, like I said, not one of the reasons, but that's when I asked her, so why did you marry me? Sometimes we got to ask, so why did you marry me? I mean, I know I'm good looking and all, but besides all that, why did you marry me? I'm just joking about that. There's some reasons why, and so it brings out what's in a person. Like, yeah. So what was there? Because when you think about it, Carol, there was a whole lot of other men that you had seen, and the same with Clive and same with all of us. But why this particular one? What was the intricate detail there? You know, what did draw you to this individual? But what I find, and we got about 10 more minutes. What I find though is, and I want to ask this question is, how many have married and settled?
How many have married and
How
settled?
how many individuals that you know that have married and settled, and individuals, I'm just using that as a broad statement. And uh are we marrying out of convenience, or are we marrying because we really love and want to build a relationship with this individual?
All right. So that question has two heads,
Yes.
and I want to address both. When when a man comes to you with a purpose, and because I want it to be a principle. Everything I'm doing right now is Stephen's dream. I'm not even gonna lie. He brought me over, and I'm here. I don't even want to be a principal anymore.
I marked it.
Whatever. What I'm saying is, because he wanted this so badly, it was not very hard for me to want him to have it. Yes, in the process, I think a lot of me went dormant.
Dormant, okay.
Went dormant. A lot of me went dormant. But then I had to figure it out and recognize that there were sides of me that had gone dormant and take back control of that. The good thing about it is I am married to a man who wants to see me do great, which is awesome. If you are married to one that does not want that, I apologize. I don't know how you're going to deal with that. But I happen to be married to one who wanted to see me do good. It's easy for us to lose ourselves in our husbands. That is why I understand when the Bible says the married woman seeks that of her husband. It's a mental. I don't know if it's the coming together and implanting all of that stuff inside of you. And so he deposits all of you in you, all of himself in you. It's very easy for us to lose ourselves, especially if we're in love with our partner. And
Absolutely.
we have to physically catch ourselves.
Wow.
And remind ourselves that there are sides of us that belong together, but then I also should have that side of me. If I find that I'm giving, and he is taking, and there is no balance, women become bitter. Women become very, very bitter. And so from a husband perspective, you too have to be careful that you are not enjoying the taking, because later you're going to suffer.
Absolutely.
You're going to suffer later. So you need to also see the fact that she's giving everything and talk her out of some of the stuff. Look here, honey. You sure you don't want to go back to school, honey? Because I've been hearing you talk about that over and over. I think next year you should try that. Even though you're enjoying her doing all of your business. You know? I remember having to just pull back and say, to the point where Stephen thought it was just an expectation that I'm always going to give in. You understand me?
Okay.
It was just, and he's not cruel at all. Not because he's sitting here, by no standard at all is he cruel. But most men are going to take the part that is least resistant. So if you give him everything, he's going to take everything. It's not like he's cruel. You're handing it to him.
That's what we do.
Ladies have to find that place where they have not given up everything to the point where they have lost themselves. Because in order for us to be great wives, we have to know our purpose also.
I think you have spoken for a lot of women just about now. We just need to take a minute to soak all that in.
Wow.
No, beautiful. So Pastor Clive, from your perspective, we got about another 5 minutes here before we end. Like I said, this is going to be continuation, but I
don't mind being finished. We can share again next week if you don't mind. I remember when I was getting married, Elder Grange, you were a part of my whole counseling and stuff. And I asked my wife, maybe like 5 times, why me? Why say yes to me? At the time when I was getting married, I was down and out. And I have a business, but I've been through some stuff that would allow me to be where I was.
Mm.
And she said to me one day, why you keep asking me this? And I say, I need to know. She said, I'm not married to you because of where you are now, but I know the potential that is inside of you.
A lot of women are like
And,
that.
Okay.
and she said, I'm not seeing you for the now, because I know where you are right now is not where you're going to end up. And she said, I can go to bed and know that tomorrow, if we, she does know that, she said, the person that you are, you're very resilient. You will come back. You will bounce back. You will.
Mm-hmm.
So she feels safe in that. She
Mm.
said, I know that you will pick up bottles to keep a roof over her head. That's the person that I am marrying. So I'm not worried about where you are right now. So it is important for you to know the person if they will be able to provide not only physically, emotionally, psychologically, because when you sometimes the person can't provide physically, but provision is provision. When you have that love and caringness about you don't want to see. And then the next thing is, the drive that she comes with. When my wife see me, I'm studying Elder Grange, beautiful people, I'm telling you, she loves that. She's like, oh, she loves to see. And the more I'm doing it, the more so she like do it, is the more I'm doing it. So she pushed me to become the best version of who I am. Been in relationship where you're trying to do something and person will look at you and like, what are you pretending to do? You're afraid to even do something for them to see that you're doing something because the criticism that's going to come. I'm saying to somebody tonight, don't allow a person negativity or criticism to mentally get to you so you do not stretch yourself to the next level where you not better yourself because of what they say.
And where can you actually have the potential to sabotage a person's success with all that negativity that comes in?
Yep.
And that's beautiful. When I got married, when I was getting married, my prayer was, God, I want a woman that. By the way, Pastor Clive, you should ordain her as the evangelist or a minister with all that stuff she's got inside it that you just talked to me about. But one thing I prayed for was a woman, a wife, because not every woman make a good wife, just like not every man make a good husband. But I wanted a wife material that would be able to support me, that would be able to hold me up, that would be able to encourage me, and also likewise. Matter of fact, she could have seen that I was going to be in ministry before I could even see myself. God literally spoke to her with the audible voice before he even spoke to me. So I don't know how that works, but you'd figure he'd let me know and have that confirmation first. My confirmation did come. But the question I was going to ask, and we don't have time to go in it, is that why couples settle? Why couples settle, and why some try to talk themselves into a relationship when really they know within themselves they are not yet ready to take on this task. They're not ready to go on this journey because it's a journey that's got bumps. It's a journey like you mentioned, Pastor Clive. She didn't look at you now, but some look at the money now, some look at the finance now, some look at the beauty now, but what they see now might not always be down the road. So are you marrying me for this, or are you marrying me for who I am and who God wants me to be? And I believe that's a big takeaway. So listen, folks, I appreciate you folks coming in tonight. There's going to be another part. This is probably about the third part now to the first part that we started. I haven't even scratched the surface yet. So we're going to have to get some dates together and line up again. But we thank you, Brother Stephen, Carol. We thank you coming live from Jamaica. We appreciate your input. We will be having you back again. Pastor Clive, we also thank you also for spearheading this whole thing together. And as I say it again, for getting me out of my comfortable chair and putting me into an uncomfortable one that is now, starting to get a little bit comfortable now. And in life, when you start to get comfortable, it's time to move on a little bit further beyond that. So, Pastor Clive, appreciate you, and Minister Roshane Douglas, who's in the background, that's getting all these things working together. We want to give a shout out to him and his wife also. So God bless each and every one of you. We will continue again next week on transforming your relationship, relationship readiness. Are you ready for a relationship? Are you talking yourself into a relationship? Are you doing it because others are doing it? Do you want to get married just because it's a good word? Hey, tune in again. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and we will talk again. I'm Bonitto Grange, your host. You can connect with me at tlcbonittogrange.com. You can. There's also, if you want a personal life coaching on my website there, you can also see a section there that has red flag assessment that you can actually download and get for yourself. So God bless. Have a wonderful day, even wherever you might be, and we will be talking to you again soon.
God bless.
God bless.
Thank you again.
God bless you.
Bless you, sir.
Okay.